I lost 70 pounds in a year, and I've been maintaining that weight loss for over 5 years now, where I've continued to build muscle and burn fat, sticking with healthy habits that just make me feel better. And a couple months ago, I posted a video about 7 hard truths of weight loss and how I've overcome them to have success. And today I've got 5 more hard truths that I'm going to be talking about when it comes to weight loss, and just talking about my personal experience and things that have worked for me to lose 70 pounds and keep that weight off. So the first hard truth about weight loss is that clothing will be a struggle. And this is something that, first of all, I used to get really caught up on clothing sizes, and especially as I got bigger and I was wearing 3XLs most of the time, I was wearing usually a size 18 to 20. And all I just kept thinking about is wanting to get lower in sizes and caring so much about sizes. That is kind of a struggle, first of all, when it comes to clothing, because it's so inconsistent. Also, as you're losing weight, you go through a lot of different stages with your body and you're changing sizes a lot, and it's mostly important to just feel comfortable. So don't get too caught up on the sizes, even if you go clothing shopping. As I was losing weight, I did need to get some different clothes, and I would go thrifting a lot of the time because that was just a really nice way to get more clothes for cheap, and it's more sustainable. I just prefer to thrift anyway. So I would go to the store and just not even know what to do when it came to sizing, because they are so all over the place. But in my head, I wanted to keep going smaller and smaller because that meant that I was having success with my weight loss. And a lot of the times I would just buy clothes that were too small then, and they just weren't comfortable for me at the time. And that kind of caused me to struggle more on my weight loss journey then, because I wasn't wearing clothes that were making me feel comfortable. Over the years, I had to kind of learn to just get clothes that were comfortable regardless of what size they were, because even to this day, there are times when I can get a size 12 shorts that fit me, and I can find a pair of size 8 or 6 shorts that fit me. And it's just all over the board with clothing sizing. And if you let that kind of control you during your weight loss, it can kind of have a negative effect, especially if you are just so focused on that size getting smaller and smaller. And that is a non-scale victory that people celebrate, and I have celebrated throughout my journey, even just being able to fit into smaller jeans and a different jean size and stuff like that. It can be really motivating, but don't let it control you. Don't just buy a size 10 because you want to say that you're in a size 10 and then it is too small on you and makes you feel uncomfortable, and then that can just have more of a negative effect on your weight loss and just feeling better about yourself. So I've learned to just dress comfortably and kind of disregard clothing sizes throughout my weight loss journey, because they fluctuate so much and they're also just all over the place. And I didn't want that to be something that held me back. The next hard truth about weight loss is that you don't have to be miserable to have success, but you do need to be disciplined. So for a really long time, I had this idea of health and weight loss in my head, and it was extremely restrictive. It was all the things I didn't want to do, like running burpees and eating raw veggies and chicken breast. That was just this mindset I had, because I feel like that's a lot of what you see online. And honestly, it can be healthy for some people, but for me, that was not going to be sustainable, not going to be healthy. And I just wasn't going to have success if I lived a restrictive lifestyle. So I had this misconception that I had to be miserable. And I thought that deep down, people that were healthy and in shape were really miserable because they were saying no to all these foods that they liked. And I just had a negative mentality around it, but that really wasn't the truth. And really, I learned that I could do the things I enjoyed and still have success, but that doesn't mean that I didn't need to be disciplined. And I feel like that's where I got confused in the past. Was these people were disciplined, they made a lifestyle they enjoyed, but from the outside, I thought that they were restricting and they weren't enjoying life because they didn't have cake and they didn't have the things that they enjoyed, even though they probably were in balance and they were doing it in a healthy way. But the way that I viewed it was just so negatively and so restrictive that I thought that that was the only way to have success. So I did learn that you have to be disciplined even when you're having balance. I still make an effort to go to the gym 5 days a week. I really prioritize getting my steps. I prioritize having a veggie with every meal, and protein and fiber every time I make something. I really try to hit those numbers throughout the day. Even if I don't track, I do just kind of make sure I'm aware of it, looking at nutrition labels and stuff. And those things I still have to be really disciplined with, but they don't make me miserable. They actually make me happy. They make me feel good, and they do take work. They make me tired from time to time when I don't feel like doing them and I don't feel like sticking with them. I don't have motivation, but that's where that discipline needs to come in, and that's where you will have success. I learned that with my weight loss journey, that I don't have to be miserable. I just need to be disciplined, and that's what's going to get me to where I want to be. And it has over the years, because I've stayed disciplined when it comes to the kitchen and making meals that really prioritize nourishing my body, and also when it comes to staying active and finding new ways to keep moving. I'm always trying to find new ways to stay disciplined that I actually enjoy. They don't have to be restrictive. I don't have to be miserable. I just have to be disciplined. The third hard truth about weight loss I want to mention today is actually something that I had a subscriber email me about. So shout out Carla, I appreciate your continued support. And I do want to talk about this topic because it is really important and something that I have dealt with throughout my weight loss journey. And it's just that as you lose weight, you do get used to a different body and people may treat you differently. They may acknowledge the fact that you're on a weight loss journey or that you've lost weight. And a lot of that can be uncomfortable, especially because most of the time when you want to lose weight, you feel self-conscious about it. At least for me personally, I didn't even want people to know that I wanted to lose weight, even though I wanted it more than anything when I was at my heaviest. But I felt shame and embarrassment behind that. And as I lost weight, it did start to just change how I thought people viewed me. And I think there's two parts to this because I do know and acknowledge that people do treat people differently when they're heavier, and that is a real thing that I do acknowledge. But I also want to acknowledge that I personally have noticed I have gained more confidence as I've lost the weight, and a lot of the confidence I have is actually in the fact that I've been able to lose weight. It's not actually even in how I look, but the fact that I actually had success with weight loss for once in my life when it's something I've always wanted to do, and I've actually been able to keep it off. So that's given me a whole new confidence, and I feel like I even carry myself differently because of it now. I feel like I have more confidence when I talk to people in general. I used to be way more nervous to the point that like we would be at a register checking out and Trevor would make conversation with the person at the register and I would get mad at him because I just didn't want to interact with people. I struggled with it so much, and now I can go talk to people that I don't know. It still is a little bit of a struggle. I'm still getting used to it, but I just have a new confidence, and I feel like that gets reciprocated from people. So I feel like it really is a balance between having more confidence, but also people do treat people differently as they are in a smaller body. I have experienced that in many situations, and I do think that's a real thing, but I do think it's a combination of both, and just getting used to being comfortable in your body and understanding that you have worked hard, you deserve the success, and it's not always a negative thing thinking about you at your heaviest and like comparing your body along the way, but realize that you deserve to feel good and you're making these choices every day to feel good. So you should feel good. You should feel the reward of even having less pain on your joints. That was something that I really dealt with. I even had constant back pain all the time at my heaviest, and I haven't had back pain since then other than when I get sore from the gym and it's my muscles that are sore. So realizing that you are making these choices and it's not easy, it takes work, it takes discipline to make these choices to better yourself. You deserve to enjoy the reward and enjoy this new healthier body that you're in, and you can still feel for the body that you were in at your heaviest and the one that put in the work to get to where you are today. Every body along the way is deserving of that feeling and feeling good about the fact that you're making an effort. But I feel like it's just something tough mentally that you deal with when it comes to weight loss and seeing the changes and feeling like you actually deserve to feel good about them. Because even sometimes when I talk about it, I feel like I'm kind of walking on eggshells because I don't want to be offensive about the heavier body that I had before, because again, that was the body that got me to where I'm at today and put in the work to get where I am today. And I'm so proud of that, Nikki, for doing that and getting me where I'm at today. And I feel like that's just how I think about it, to feel like I deserve to be where I'm at today, because it is something that messes with your head and your confidence, and I think just thinking about it that way has really helped me. Okay, the next hard truth about weight loss is that you can use others for inspiration, but don't follow too much in their footsteps and don't think that you need to do exactly what they're doing. Even when it comes to consuming my content, I really try to make it open and give a lot of options and varieties and just kind of show the basics of the things that work for me so that hopefully others can kind of take the actual tip and adapt it to their lifestyle with what'll work for them. A lot of the times I might mention a food that you don't like, and I try to even give some different options so that maybe you know of something else you could do to make it work for you, but like a very similar meal or habit or whatever. So I feel like when it comes to consuming content for weight loss and fitness specifically, take everything with a grain of salt, use it for inspiration. Even when you're looking at other people's transformations, don't get caught up in comparing every little aspect about their body. If anything, just use it for inspiration to see they started there and they ended up there, and I can do the same thing with my body and the way that it'll work for my body. And that's what I really did in the start of my weight loss. I was just so inspired seeing that other people could even do it and realizing, okay, if they can do it, I can do it. And I used it as that type of inspiration instead of I need to look like their after picture. I didn't really focus on that at all. It was more just the actual process they were able to do motivated me. And I feel like that's what kept it healthy when it came to inspiration and not comparing myself to others. I feel like it's really easy to start comparing yourself, and especially online, there's so much content that's meant to be very clickbaity. It's meant to get you to click their links, and it'll be a transformation that is 1 month and their butt's doubled in size. Sometimes maybe that is even true if they've already built that muscle underneath, and then maybe they were just like off track for a while and then they got really focused and dialed in. They can make that type of transformation, but usually that's not realistic at all. I try to share that with my journey, that it's taken me 5 years to see the progress I have, and it's taken time and so much patience, but that's just realistic and sustainable. And I feel like when you get sucked in online and you see, oh my gosh, she did that in a month and I can't do this and I'm failing now, it's so easy to get in your head and start comparing. So I think that definitely use content for inspiration, for recipes, for ideas. Even when I share my what I eat in a week, don't try to match the exact calories I have, the exact protein I have, because everybody's built different, everybody has different requirements, but use that as inspiration to see that, okay, she's using these vegetables and this protein and stuff to be able to hit her goals within her points and everything. And I hope that it just gives some inspiration with that, and more so inspiration than actually following what I do by the book, because that's why I try to be a little bit more broad with my content when it comes to that. I don't want people thinking do exactly as I do, but instead create this lifestyle for yourself using some of the tips that I have that make it easier, more sustainable, and then it'll actually be realistic for you in the long run. And maybe what works for you won't work for me, and maybe what I do doesn't work for you. But that's why it's important to use content and stuff that you consume online as more of inspiration than an actual like guideline. I hope that makes sense, but that's another hard truth about weight loss is don't get too consumed in everything you see online. You could still use it as inspiration, but it's really easy to get sucked in and start playing the comparing game, and then that really can get to you mentally and just lead you the wrong way. Okay, then the last hard truth that I want to talk about today is just being able to find a balance when it comes with these healthy habits and not falling down the slippery slope of becoming too obsessed on the other end. What I mean by that is sometimes people get too concerned when they start their weight loss journey and it comes to tracking, and they get a little bit too obsessed with it to the point where they won't eat certain things and they start restricting and just creating really unhealthy habits because they're kind of obsessing over this lifestyle and the results that they want to get. And that's where I feel like sometimes people get a little iffy with even like calories and stuff. Even though it is about calories in and out, sometimes it can become a little too much when you're seeing success on your weight loss journey. And this was something I kind of dealt with because it just started feeling really good to continue seeing the scale go down every week. And then week after week, when I was seeing results and I was seeing the positive of the weight loss come off, I started to kind of get a little bit of fear about eating. And I had a short period of time where I was even scared to get takeout because I was like, these results feel really good and I'm going in the right direction. And what's really important is that you need to find a balance, because you can go too far that way. You can start tracking and being so strict about every little portion to the point where you're obsessing and restricting, and then it is not healthy and it'll lead you down a really slippery slope. And I feel like that's really common when it comes to weight loss because, like I said, you have this validation when you're getting success, when every week maybe you step on the scale and you're down even a half pound or something. It's still success. It's still a step in the right direction. And you can see that, oh, these habits are helping, it's making a change and it's working, and then take it too far and have too many healthy habits or become too restricted. And that's where having a balance is so important. And I recently posted a video about how I actually have balance. I go more into detail about it and I can link it in the description, but it's really important to find that balance so that you don't cross the line of becoming obsessed and not going out to family events, not going on vacation, not living your life because you're worried or you're starting to obsess about everything you're eating and stuff like that. Or even when it comes to working out too much and you see that you're seeing results and then you get kind of sucked into this consuming cycle of exercising too much. And I even used to do that. I would try to exercise to be able to eat more, and it was just really unhealthy. And so finding that balance is so important, and it's not really easy, but it is possible, and it's what I've had to do on my weight loss journey in order to actually have success in the long run. That's the last thing I wanted to talk about. It's definitely been a huge learning experience for me, losing 70 pounds in a year and keeping it off, but these are just some of the things that have helped me to have success through the hard times and just the reality of weight loss. So I hope you guys found this video helpful and enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and give it a like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.